Attorney General Pam Bondi putting sanctuary cities across the country on notice, giving them 1 week to comply with federal immigration laws or face action from the Justice Department.
If you're appointed the President of the United States of America, you should be looking out for the American citizens in this country. That shouldn't even be something that should be told to future presidents. You must secure the country and protect the American citizens. The day that a president decides to open the doors to the country and let anybody come in, that should automatically take you out of your presidential seat. Automatically. Vice President, step up. Don't do the same thing the president did, because he's not the president anymore. You are.
AG Bondi's effort, will this work? Will cities comply? Do they have to comply?
I think by and large, yes, it will work. And yes, they have to comply. And here's why it will work. They're putting pressure on these sanctuary cities, and certainly some of them are going to fight sort of to the end. But just since the beginning of the Trump administration, this Trump administration, there have been 761 jurisdictions have joined the 287G program, which is a program with localities cooperating with ICE. So they've already inspired so much local cooperation, which is one of the reasons for having so much success at the border. But the consequences for these sanctuary cities are really severe, and they're going to start facing them. And when I'm talking about consequences, I'm talking about criminal investigations for things like obstruction of justice, but also for alien harboring, because it's a federal felony if you do anything to shield or harbor an illegal alien and from detection from ICE. And these sanctuary cities have been doing just that by hiding them from ICE, making it more difficult for ICE to reach them, to deport them, to detain them. So they're going to face criminal, not only prosecutions, but investigations that will be substantially expensive for whatever locality, plus they may not like the ultimate result. So yes, it will be effective, and yes, it has been effective. And, we're seeing the results, not only in crime rates in certain places, but also on the border.
Yeah, it's very interesting because some of these cities have actually doubled down on their sanctuary policies in since the election. Jonathan, I also want to get your thoughts on the nation's capital. They've reached an agreement with the Trump administration after suing over the administration's takeover of the city police force. Turns out the police will continue to be led by their leader that they have had. What do you make of it all?
I think this is actually, it's going to still be a very good thing because, the police are now, they're cooperating with ICE. They've agreed to do that. And you had, Todd Lyons on earlier talking about how important that is, having that cooperation so ICE can get the most dangerous criminals off the streets and deported. And that helps everyone in the city, not just, public safety, but also resource-wise. And so going back to another guest that you had on earlier, talking about the defund the police movement, it really impacted D.C. significantly. They were down about 800 officers from where they want to be. So bringing these extra resources and these federal resources, not only is it going to help immediately with the law enforcement, but it's also going to be a great deterrent. So we are going to see drastic decreases in crime. And just remember, during the Biden administration, particularly in D.C., they had their 4 highest years of murder rates in over 20 years during the Biden administration, because a lot of it was not enough law enforcement resources, but also their focus was on things like political prosecutions, prosecuting Donald Trump, J6, and that took their eye off the ball from violent crime, which is most impactful for most people. So all of these things are going to be very effective, not only in the short term, but I really think long term as well.
Yeah.
How we allowed Biden to just get away with letting everybody come into this country illegally, not screening them. He should be in prison. He should have been impeached like the moment he decided to change everything to make this country the way it was when Trump finally took office and had to clean up his mess.
West Virginia's Governor Patrick Morrisey said the state will send 300 to 400 troops to the nation's capital at President Trump's request. Governor Henry McMaster of South Carolina pledged to send 200 troops. And Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio said 150 members of his state's National Guard would arrive in D.C. in the coming days. Now, this would nearly double the total number of National Guard troops in the district. And as more troops arrive, NBC News is reporting some of them will be armed, according to 2 U.S. officials. This marks a reversal in policy after defense leaders said last week that National Guard soldiers would not be armed or allowed to carry guns in their cars.
And I don't want to hear it in the comments about, oh, but the crime rate has been going down. There's still crime. That's the point. We are trying to eliminate crime completely by showing a strong police force in Washington, D.C. What President Trump is doing, he's leading by example. If we want the entire country of the United States, the crime in every city and every state to go down, we need to start with Washington, D.C. Clean up the streets, get all the homeless out of there, get crime taken care of, show police presence, and once law and order is established there, then the National Guard can go back to their home states, and local law enforcement can continue patrolling the streets and actually do their job effectively. Because right now it's been too out of hand. There's too many things going on that cops are ignoring certain calls. They're only, for instance, when I was in California, it got to the point where there was no law enforcement, that it got to the point where if something happened, a theft, for example, my truck got broken into, I called the police and they didn't show up until like 3 hours later, because they only respond to things if there's a gun involved or if somebody is dead. That should not ever be the case in the United States of America. Maybe in a third world country, but no, here in the United States, if there's something that you need help and you need to call the police, they should be responding right away. That is the point. But for a lot of you people out there, especially you far leftists that are all about defund the police, we don't need police, they're all corrupt. Well, why don't you join the police force and not be corrupt? Why don't you join the police force? That's why I've always encouraged, and I hear these things in my comments, and my response to a lot of these people in these comments is I encourage you to go to your local PD, do a ride along with an officer, come prepared with some questions that you have, what their life is like, what they have to go through, things they experience, protocols within their own department. Hey, officer, if this or this dramatic thing happens to you, what kind of things does the department do to help you to make sure you're okay physically, mentally, back home in your family? Like, what do they do? These are questions that American citizens should ask instead of itching and complaining online about, oh yeah, all cops are corrupt. Comment. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Until next time, peace out, everybody.